Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to be playing a little bit of Legacy, Magic the Gathering. This is going to be a Legacy competitive league, and today's deck of choice is going to be the Mono Red Prison deck. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We are Mono Red. We are going to be playing some ways to speed out our powerful hate cards. We're going to be playing 4 Blood Moons in the main, and we are also going to be playing 4 main deck Magus of the Moon for all the greedy Legacy mana bases. Outside of the Blood Moon effects, we are also going to be playing a couple Prison lock pieces. We have Chalice of the Void, and we have Ensnaring Bridge for the big creature combo decks, as well as Trinisphere for stuff like Storm and Delver, and it's also good against Miracles. Any deck that's playing cheap interaction is where Trinisphere is going to shine. After that, we are pretty much going to round out our threat base. We are playing 4 Goblin Rabblemaster. This card ends games very, very quickly. Outside of that, we have 4 Fiery Confluence, 4 Chandra Torch of Defiance, and then you have a couple of extra flex slots in the deck. We currently have 1 Hazoret the Fervent and 2 Pia and Kira Nalar. That's going to be it for our main deck here. One other side note that was something that was interesting that was brought up to me and something I've been doing in my decks recently. Miracles is a big deck in Legacy, and they play Predict. Predict is something where they can name a card out of your deck, and if it's the top card of your deck and they mill it, they get to draw 2 cards. Something as very simple as your basic land count is actually relevant in those matches. So stuff like Death and Taxes and this Mono Red Prison deck, you're playing anywhere from 10 to 12 of a single basic. So in those matchups, they can predict targeting you and just name either Basic Mountain or Basic Plains, and have a pretty reasonable likelihood of milling one of those cards. Now, something to help solve that issue is you can split your basics between regular basics and snow-covered basics, and it makes it a little less likely for them to hit you off of the blind predict. Very small hedge, but it is something that could be relevant in the Miracles matchup. So if you're playing anywhere from 10 to 12 basics of a single type, there's really no downside for you having to split it between regular and snow-covered basics. So that is the exact reason why we have them. Up to our sideboard's pretty simple here. We have 4 Leyline of the Void for the Reanimator matchup. Also Dredge if you happen to run into Dredge. Scab Clan Berserker is for the combo matchup. It's basically an Eidolon of the Great Revel. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, it deals 2 damage to them. Sorceress Spyglass is just an excellent card, better than Pithing Needle. You get to see your opponent's hand. A Braid, just a great spot removal spell, and if you have a troublesome artifact you got to deal with. Sulfur Elemental, we were playing 3 Sulfur Elementals. One of your worst matchups is Death and Taxes, and unfortunately at this point in the Legacy metagame, Death and Taxes is becoming more popular. This deck is not as well positioned as what it was prior to the Deathrite Shaman bans, but it's still fine. So you need to have some kind of Sulfur Elemental or some kind of sweeper in order to help the Death and Taxes matchup. So there's currently 3 Sulfur Elementals and 1 Volcanic Fallout. So that's pretty much the deck, so we are going to go hop in our Legacy League here, and we're going to see how it goes. This is a deck that is something that is very easy to play for the most part. If you are an inexperienced Legacy player, this is a good starting point for you. The deck is not overly expensive. I mean, your bulk of your cost is going to be in the mana base. You have City of Traders and Ancient Tomb. Outside of that, the rest of the deck is not all that expensive, but this is definitely a good starting point if you are a new Legacy player. I have played more than my share of Legacy, but this is something that I do enjoy playing from time to time. It's something I just have fun with. Getting to turn 1 Blood Moon people is definitely a good feeling sometimes, and Chalice of the Void can win you a lot of matchups all on its own. There's some decks that if you just play Chalice of the Void on turn 1, they're dead, and there's nothing they can do about it. But definitely a fun deck to play sometimes. So let's see what we're playing against here, round one. So this hand is excellent. We have the turn 1 Chalice and a turn 2 either Blood Moon or Trinisphere. So this is what you're signing up for when you play this deck. So we are going to keep. One negative thing is we are on the draw. This deck is far better on the play. This is actually pretty hilarious. So we are playing a mirror match round one. It's kind of funny because when you're playing the mirror match, there are a lot of dead cards in the mirror match. So we have quite a few cards here that are going to do next to nothing. So Blood Moon does nothing, clearly. Chalice of the Void does very little. Trinisphere also does very little. So we are going to be on the slow plan here of getting to this Chandra. That being said, we might just fire off this Chalice of the Void for 0. I know in our deck, we're going to shut off our own Chrome Moxes. Out of their deck, it's probably going to be the same thing. All you're going to do is shut off Chrome Mox, or if they play Lotus Petal. So I think we're just going to fire off this Chalice for 0 here, because we know we have nothing in our hand that is going to turn off at this point. So it's safe to fire it off. Hope maybe they're relying on a Chrome Mox at some point. And all we're going to do is pass. Yeah, this mirror match is definitely something else. So we're just going to keep playing our basics here and hope that we get to land our Chandra first. This whole matchup is going to probably revolve around the Chandra. Yep, so our opponent plays a Trinisphere. We are going to play our Magus of the Moon. At least we get to attack for 2 for what it's worth. They have a Magus. Alright, well that's at least a good sign for us, is we get to be the first Chandra on board. And we have a Rabble Master, which is a nice addition to the party. So, Chandra it is. I think we're just going to exile a top card right away here. If we can ultimate this Chandra, that's going to be our fastest route to victory. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to ultimate this Chandra as fast as possible. We get to exile a mountain and pass the turn. So our opponent's going to attack us here, presumably. We'll take the trade. And they pass the turn, so that is good for us. Alright, so we'll play our land first. Chandra will take up. Chrome Mox, we will not cast that one, because it's just going to get countered off of our Chalice, so it will do us no good. And we get to play a Goblin Rabble Master. Start picking away at our opponent. So Chandra ultimates on 7. So we have 2 turns here. Fiery Confluence. Okay, that's pretty good out of our opponent. At least they get to keep the board clear. They get to deal with our Rabble Master. Chandra goes up. We exile a land. Unfortunately, none of these cards in our hand actually do anything. So I think what we're going to do is just pass here. Next turn, if we get to ultimate our Chandra, at the very least, these cards all do 5 damage. So I think that's what we're going to shoot for here. Hopefully we just get the ultimate or Chandra next turn. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our emblem, and then we're going to start casting this stuff out of our hand. Play our land. We have 1, 2, 3, we have 6 mana, so we get the Dome for 10 here. Just play a Blood Moon. 5 to our opponent. Play a Trinisphere. Do another 5 to our opponent. We also get to cast... No, we do not. I forgot about that Trinisphere. Okay, so next turn we get to kill him. Yeah, this whole mirror match pretty much revolves around the Chandra. And unfortunately, like I said, there are so many dead cards in this matchup that your sideboard is almost useless. We get to bring in 2 Sorceresses Spyglass, just in case we fall behind on the Chandra race. We get to bring in the Abrades. Abrades can deal with an opposing Rabblemaster. So stuff that definitely comes out. So 4 Chalice of the Void are terrible. That's the first card to come out. Trinispheres also come out. Blood Moons also come out. So that's 4, 8, that's 9, that's 10 cards that very easily come out. Now we're probably just going to bring in the Sulfur Elementals and the Scab Clan Berserkers. I mean, obviously they're not great, they're not intended for this matchup, but like I said, you have so many cards that are terrible here. We'll probably bring in this Volcanic Fallout here and make one more trim. Ensnaring Bridge is not great. That's probably going to be our last cut. There might be a scenario where it comes up where it's actually relevant, but like I said, the Chandra emblem is going to be the way to win this game. I think we're just going to leave it like that. So we are going to be on the draw here. So what we're going to be looking for is maybe a fast Rabblemaster. That'll probably be the best way to start this game. As soon as our opponent decides to show up, here we go. So this opening hand is not great. This one's probably going to get thrown back. Our opponent's keeping their 7. Yeah, this hand has to go back. It just doesn't do anything. You have 1 land and 1 Spirit Guide, so it's not even 2 lands. So this is going to be a mulligan. This deck, you really need to do something early. You need to have a powerful play on turn 1 or turn 2. Alright, this hand's better. And we have a Rabblemaster on top. We will keep that one. So that'll give us a turn 2 Rabblemaster. And the rest of this is just going to be chaff. Nothing great for us right now. Let's see what their opponents do. Start with a Chrome Mox, sure. Sorceress Spyglass, sure. Presumably naming Chandra. Yep, there it is, the Chandra name. Okay, so we get to lead on Ancient Tomb, so that way next turn we can play our Rabblemaster. Magus of the Moon, sure. Magus of the Moon is slightly better than Blood Moon, just for the simple fact that it gets to attack. They have a much more aggressive start here, so this might be a game where we need to try to leverage this Snaring Bridge. Alright, so whatever we play here is probably going to try to trade. What would we rather try to trade away? I'm going to say likely this Magus of the Moon. So we're going to play the Magus, and we're just going to try to trade it off and save some damage here. I am going to be surprised if they send this Rabble Master in. I mean, that's a very easy block on our part, unless they have an Abrade or something here to trade with it. Well, I don't know why our opponent didn't play that main phase. There's really no reason for them not to do it. They would have had another Goblin attacking, but I guess they didn't want the extra Goblin. Alright, so we're just going to keep playing our blockers. Hopefully they're good enough. Try and stabilize this board. What is this thing? I have never seen this card in my life. Enters a battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. Tap, remove a charge counter. Destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 white. I have never seen this card in my life. Alright, so we're just going to play a Berserker. The fact that we're missing on a land here is really painful. I mean, we're just trying to empty our hand for these Snaring Bridges. Had we hit a land here, we might be okay, but the fact that we're missing this land drop could really hurt us. I mean, we could have double spelled this turn and double spelled next turn if we hit the land. If we hit a land next turn, we still might be okay. Or they could do this. So if they make this attack, we can trade with the Magus of the Moon, and that's going to unlock our mana. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So let's see how we can do this. So we get 1 Ancient Tomb activation. So 2, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 mana. Yeah, I don't think we can't do this here, unfortunately. We're taking too much damage from this Ancient Tomb here. So we can take 2, play an Ancient Tomb, and play one of our other creatures. But that's still going to leave us with 2 cards in hand, so that's not going to work. That still allows them to attack with everything, so I think we're just going to be dead here, unfortunately. Yeah, so you play Bridge. Play Sulfur Elemental. And we'll pass here. so they just destroy our guy. Okay, they got it. We will be on the play for game 3. Nothing really changes here. Trinisphere is still bad. Chalice of the Void is still bad, and Blood Moon is still bad. We're just gonna have to hope we have a little bit of a better draw. That one being on the draw that game really killed us. Now this hand is close to being very good. Obviously, we were really hoping if one of these City of the Traders was another red source, we would slam dunk this because that would be a turn of real fast Chandra. But that being said, I think we're going to have to toss this one back. Playing a turn 2 Sulfur Elemental is not going to be very good in this matchup here. So I think that's going to be worth a throwback. This hand is also not great, but I don't think it's worth going to 5. I think this is one we're going to have to keep and hope we get a good scry. There you go, Rabble Master on top. That's our good scry we were hoping for. So we get to lead and we get a turn 2 Rabble Master here at least. This is a deck that you are definitely at the mercy of your top deck. Now, the good thing about this Rabble Master, though, is if this thing goes unchecked, it will end the game very quickly. So it really demands an answer. Scab Clan Berserker, sure. I will gladly take the damage. So we get to hit our opponent for a bunch here. And then we get to flash in Sulfur Elemental. Yeah, because Scab Clan is only for non-creature spells. Another Scab Clan. So they would like to hit us for 2. Alright, that's fine. I'll take this hit. Play the Sulfur Elemental. City of Traders is not what we wanted to draw. Alright, so we're just going to try to force some damage in here. We can't attack with the Rabble Master, but we can attack with everything else. If they want to trade, we're fine with the trade. Eat a token, sure, that's fine too. So we're looking for something like a Fiery Confluence off the top. They are not attacking, which is a good sign for us. Pia and Kieran is a very good one as well. Alright, so we're just going to go to attacks. Presumably they're going to trade with the Sulfur Elemental and probably eat one of our goblins, which is perfectly okay. Sulfur Elemental of their own, sure. Double Sulfur. Okay. That is totally fair. have some blockers here. Next turn we have 2 free damage in the air. This might be shooting our Pia. Unless they would like to exile. Yep, they're going to kill our Pia. Which they almost have to do, otherwise we get to attack and just throw the Thopters at them. They're in a position, though, where it's tough for them to attack. Like I said, they could probably afford to attack with 1 creature, which is fine, so we'll take the 3. Because they don't want to take the risk of us ripping like an Abrade. Magus is okay. So we get to chip in for a little bit of damage here. Alright, so our Goblin token is attacking our opponent. Another one will attack our opponent, and the last one is going to attack Chandra. Okay, that is fine. And second main, we get to play Magus. Alright, so currently our opponent is in range of a Fiery Confluence if we draw one. Alright, so they have this thing again. So they can destroy our Thopters, which is annoying. So let's go to attacks. So a Goblin is going in, the Ox and the Thopter. I think that's it. I don't want to trade this Magus of the Moon yet, because otherwise they just get to eat it with the Scab Clan Berserker. So it's more valuable on defense right now. And it's keeping them from attacking with these Scab Clans. Okay, so they want to trade off with the Ox, and we're just going to cast our Spirit Guide. Presumably they're going to blow up our other Thopter here. That was the play they made last turn, so they might do it again. Yep. Volcanic Fallout. Well, that can deal our opponent the last 2 points of damage, but we definitely don't want to cast it now, because otherwise it's just going to wipe our own board. Alright, so we're going to attack with the Ox. I think we're just going to attack with everything here. So if we attack with everything, one of these is going to trade with the Rabble Master, and the other one will probably take a free block on one of the 2/2s, which has them taking 2, 4, 5, which should be lethal. So we're going to send in the team. Yep. And then we just get to cast Fallout and win the game. Alright, that's it. Alright, that was a pretty, I don't know, I thought that was kind of an interesting first match. I mean, it's one of those things where the deck doesn't do what you have the deck designed to do, but sometimes you gotta win an alternative way, and beating down with a bunch of bad 2/2s can sometimes get the job done. It's funny because this mono red prison deck is definitely falling a bit out of favor because of the rise of Death and Taxes, so it's not as good, so you don't really expect to run into the mirror match. match 2. Here we go. We are on the play, which is always good. Alright, so we have 3 mana on turn 1. So we can play a turn 1 Magus of the Moon. But if we play a turn 1 Magus of the Moon, our hand really doesn't do anything after that. So this is one of those hands where you're definitely all in on the turn 1 play. It's very poor against the Force of Will. But most of the time with this deck, if they have a Force of Will for your turn 1 play, you're in a lot of trouble anyway. So I think we're going to keep it on the back of the turn 1 Force of Will. Or I'm sorry, the turn 1 Blood Moon. We're just going to have to hope that it's good enough. Okay, so we're going to cast Chrome Mox. What would we like to imprint? So we don't want to imprint Chandra. Chandra is your best card to bring you back from a hole. It's either going to be Hazaret or Pia. It's interesting because both cards have their own merit. I think I'm going to imprint the Pia here. So we'll exile a Spirit Guide and cast a Magus of the Moon. Alright, it resolved. Hopefully it's good. Let's find out where our matchup is here. Bloodstained Mire. Okay, so maybe this might be Reanimator. If this is Reanimator, we could be in some trouble. They play enough basics, and they also play Lotus Petal. So they get to bin an Ashen Rider. They unmask us, okay. That is perfectly acceptable. So, I'm going to say we probably want to draw a Chalice of the Void here. I think Chalice of the Void is going to be our best draw. Mountain is not bad either. So now next turn if we draw a land, we can play this Hazaret. So we're really hoping our opponent bricks here. Either A, no Lotus Petal, or B, no Swamp. Okay, we just have two Mires. Trinisphere is an excellent draw. And we just get to keep attacking with our 2/2 bear. But, alright, well our opponent does have 3 fetch lands, so they do get to play through this Trinisphere. Rabble Master is also an excellent draw. Let's just speed up our clock. Now we get to get in for 3. Alright, so we have our opponent on 2 turns if they miss a couple times. The one thing that's nice about the Trinisphere is that even if they find a Lotus Petal, it's going to take them 2 turns, because they're going to have to pay 3 mana for the Lotus Petal, and then they can't even use it the turn that they play it. please? Not quite, but it's still fine. Alright, so we get an extra goblin, we get to go bash here. To hit our opponent for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so they're on Swamp or Bust. And they bust. Alright, so for something that can be a tough game 1, we managed to steal it. We get to bring in a lot of cards here. 4 Leyline of the Void. Okay, not a lot, but we definitely get to bring in enough cards. So 4 Leyline of the Voids are the big ones. We do not want Fallout. Scab Clan Berserker is not terrible, but this is more for Storm than Reanimator. Spyglass on Gristlebrand is just not going to be good enough. Because if they have a Gristlebrand in play, you're pretty dead. Alright, so let's see what we're going to be taking out. In this matchup, all of our lock pieces are pretty good. We want all of our speed. The Blood Moons are fair, but they're not great. Fiery Confluences are probably our worst card. All it does is dome them for 6. Like that's the only thing that card is doing that's relevant in this matchup. So you want Trinisphere, you want Bridge, you want Spirit Guide. The Magus of the Moon and the Blood Moon, we seen last game, there is potential for them to steal a game if they're on a hand that's all fetch lands. Yeah, I don't think we're going to bring in these Berserkers. The problem is Reanimator can win through the Berserker. They can definitely beat that card, so I don't think it's even worth bringing it in. Yeah, I don't think we want the Spyglass either. Maybe the Blood Moons are worse. Alright, I think we'll cut the Confluences. I think we'll keep the Blood Moons in. That's probably a fair trade. It's either Blood Moon or Confluence. One of those two cards have to get cut. Well, this hand would be great if we had some lands. Unfortunately, we do not. And going turn 0 Leyline is very nice, but we have turn 0 Leyline, turn 1 Chalice of the Void for 0. It's going to be a tough way to do it. If we had like 1 land, I might consider keeping this. But 7 cards, no lands, you just can't do it. Okay, this hand is good. This hand is actually very good. As long as we don't get turn 1'd, this hand is actually very good. Because we can go play our Chrome Mox and then play 2 Chalices on turn 1. I will keep this Spirit Guide. Yeah, this hand is excellent if we don't get turn 1'd. We have double Chalice, which is nice against discard spells. Okay, so we are going to lead on, looks like Chalice for 1. Yes, we are going to lead on a Chalice for 1. So let's start there. One of your biggest things to do is you're preventing yourself from dying too quickly to these combo decks. You can pretty much piece together any win condition after that, but you're just trying to make sure you don't die first and foremost. I assume this is going to be an Entomb in response here. Okay, there's the fetch. Yep, there's the Entomb. So now that they're doing this, I'm actually not going to play this Chalice of the Void for 0. We're going to hold on to this Chalice. If by a miracle we get to survive to our next turn, we can play a Chalice for 2. Once you have a Chalice for 1 and a Chalice for 2, the Reanimator deck is completely locked out. All of their spells cost 1 and 2. So at that point, we're going to hold on to this Chrome Mox and hope we get another turn. Because that'll give us 4 mana next turn. Let's see if they have it. Looks like they do. Yep, there's the swamp. And we could also draw, we can definitely draw a Ensnaring Bridge here and be okay. This Chalice of the Void still is going to do a lot of work. So we are definitely not dead yet. Ancient Tomb. Okay, so as of right now, this Rabble Master is not doing us any good. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to Chrome Mox, exile this Rabble Master, and then play our Chalice. And that gives us, that definitely gives us our outs to find the Ensnaring Bridge. So 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our opponent is not casting any more spells this game. We just have to try to find something to deal with this Bristlebrand. Thankfully, we have a couple turns. Hopefully, it's going to be good enough. But there is a very real possibility that we just sit here and die. So here, we can actually pull up the Reanimator list so we know what we're playing against. Yeah, so here, if you pull up the Reanimator deck, the only relevant spell that they have left in their deck is Unmask. So in theory, they could unmask us to take our Chandra. But that's actually it. So nothing else is going to do anything here. That's what they did. They did unmask our Chandra. Okay. But we are still live to find... We are still live to find a bridge. I mean, we weren't casting that Chandra anyway, unless we drew a mountain. Snaring bridge, please, off the top. We have 2 turns. Okay, that Blood Moon is not good. So, we're just going to pass the turn. Alright, so they could hit us with Gristlebrand one more time here. 2 more times actually. So we got 2 draw steps. Sure. Go for it, my man. Our opponent is playing painfully slow. I guess the fact that they can't cast any spells is making it a little more difficult for them, but not quite sure what they're thinking about. Wear Terror. Okay. Not quite sure why our opponent did that. I really don't know why they blew up their own Animate Dead. That makes absolutely no sense. I'm assuming that maybe they intended on maybe reanimating and forgot about the other Chalice? Yeah, I have no explanation for you about why they did that. Like, that had to be a mistake on their part. But, fortunately, we do not get to cast any spells this turn. So we can say go. They also didn't draw off of their Gristlebrand last turn. So if they blew up the Chalice for 2, I mean, they almost have to have an Exhume or something in their hand to make that even make a little bit of sense. Okay, so they bring back Iona, sure. Well, we can't actually win this game at this point. Once the Iona's on red, the game's over. Okay, well, we are not changing anything here. Everything else is staying the same. We are just looking for a little bit of a faster hand. We were on a mulligan that game, and the big thing is we were on the draw. If we were on the play that game, it would have been completely different because we had the challenge for 1 and the challenge for 2. So the play versus draw that game definitely cost us that. This hand is, I mean, we have a turn 1. We have a turn 1 Blood Moon, and we have the Ensnaring Bridge. So we can go Chrome Mox, Imprint Magus. Chrome Mox, Imprint Magus, and then we also have the Ensnaring Bridge to protect us. This hand is mildly interesting. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not what we're really looking for in this matchup. But as we see in that first game, the turn 1 Magus of the Moon actually won us that first game off of the fact that they did not have a swamp in their hand. They only play 2 swamps in their deck normally, 2 or 3. But Lotus Petal also counts. So let's see here. So we go Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, Imprint Magus, play Magus. That'll leave us with 3 cards in hand. The following turn we get to play the Bridge. But if they reanimate anything, this hand is going to be incredibly soft. I think this hand is super close. I'm going to keep. We're going to keep based on the turn 1 Blood Moon. Our opponent's on a mulligan to 6. They're going to 5. That is good news for us. Going to 4. Our opponent's in some trouble. If they're going to 4, I would assume that they're probably looking for a Wear Tear. Alright, so we get to start, cast a Chrome Mox, imprint one of these Maguses, Ancient Tomb, Magus. Alright, so we're just going to cross our fingers and hope they don't have Swamp. No Swamp, that's a good start. Attack for 2. I am actually going to hold on to this Ensnaring Bridge. I don't want to play it yet. The only reason I was going to say, if we hold the Ensnaring Bridge, it keeps us open if we draw something like Hazaret. Hazaret's, I guess, the only real scenario where we want the bridge. Because if we draw Rabble Master, we still get to play the Rabble Master and attack with it, because we're going to have 2 cards in hand. So I think the only card that this is really going to be relevant with is if we draw the Hazaret. So we'll play it. It's just that one Hazaret in the deck. Hopefully we don't draw it. Everything else can still attack through the bridge. Okay, so our opponent is still under the Blood Moon. We're just going to keep bashing for 2 here. We have no reason to play any spells at this point. They pass. Chrome Mox. Okay, I think I'm going to play one of the Chrome Moxes now. just because it's really bad if they play a discard spell, take our Blood Moon, and then we have 3 dead Chromoxes in our hand. Opponent's still doing nothing. Leyline is the worst draw in our deck, unfortunately. Okay, so we're just going to play our land and attack. Opponent plays looting. At first I thought maybe they were going just a natural discard, but looks like they drew the looting this turn. Otherwise they probably would have played it last turn had they drawn it. So we're really just trying to hope, we're really hoping that we just get to fade a swamp. Lotus Petal could help them out big time too if they find a Lotus Petal. So we would really like to find some kind of a threat here to hopefully end this game. The more time you give them, you're just giving them more outs to hopefully draw out of it. Okay, they put a Gristlebrand in the yard. And they found the swamp. Dark Ritual. Tomb. Now they get to go find one of their answers. Yeah, we could be in some real trouble now. We could definitely lose this game at this point. Because they can either go get an Ashen Rider or a Tidespout Tyrant, and now they can bounce this Ensnaring Bridge. So there is a very real possibility that we lose this game at this point. Iona. Okay, they entomb again. And they do have the Exhume. Let's see what they take. I kind of am assuming that, yeah, you see, I was going to say they're probably taking Gristlebrand here, because they definitely need to draw. Because now they need to find an answer to this Ensnaring Bridge. So they either have Animate Dead or Exhume. So they're drawing to, what, 7 cards? So they cast 1 Exhume, so they have 4 Animate Dead. And 3 Exhumes, presumably, in their deck yet. So you know Reanimate is shut off. As well as Wear Terror. So if they're unmasking us, they're not taking anything relevant. Okay. And they're passing. So they must have missed. Chalice. So now we get to cast Chalice for 2. Chalice for 2 shuts off Animate Dead and Exhume. So I believe that shuts off their outs. Because they can't attack and now they can't reanimate anything. was definitely a good draw there. So I believe they are on no outs at this point. Because they are currently shut off of all 12 of their reanimation spells. They could be playing some oddball card in their sideboard. But we're going to make them show it to us if they find it. Entomb, sure. This might be an Entomb for a Faithless Looting. This Entomb also could be looking just to see if they do have any outs. I know I do that sometimes, where I'll cast a card just to look, just to search and see if I have anything left in my deck. So they just put a Chancellor in the yard. Chancellor is not going to be doing anything relevant. Discarded 2 lands, sure. I just kind of hope that they don't make us just sit here and keep drawing cards, and if they're not actually looking for anything. Don't really want to sit here for the next 7 minutes and watch them do a bunch of nothing. I mean, I promise you I will keep playing my lands. We are definitely not attacking with this Magus of the Moon, so we're not going to let you gain an additional 7 life. More Faithless Lootings, sure. Do your thing, my friend. More Entombs. Yep. Trinisphere, sure. I mean, they have plenty of mana, so it's not really relevant. Probably limits them to playing 2 spells a turn if they have them. You may keep casting all of the Faithless Lootings that you would like to cast. The only other card that you see sometimes in these sideboards is a Braid. A Braid could be another answer to Ensnaring Bridge, but that just gets countered by the Chalice too. Keep on digging.
Okay. Maybe we can end this game a little bit faster now. Now we get finally Juro Chandra. Exile top card. Simeon Spirit Guide, so we have 1, 2, 3, so we might as well cast it. No, we're not going to cast it. We'll just do the 2 damage to our opponent. Pass the turn. And hopefully we get to kill them next turn. Yep, they have a Lotus Petal. That is perfectly okay. Your stealth still gets countered by Chalice. Yep. One thing that's mildly interesting is something that's actually you can do if you're playing a real life tournament. You can cast your spells into the Chalice. Chalice of the Void is a trigger that you do have to remember if you're playing in paper. Alright, well, our opponent finally conceded. Okay, thank you for saving the 3 minutes of my life, so we don't have to sit through and time us out. Okay, so we're off to a good start here. We are 2-0. Round 1, we beat the Mirror. Round 2, we have beaten Reanimator. Nice little start here. Let's see what's going on with this next round. While we're hanging out here, I'm actually going to pull up the last Legacy Challenge. This is something I'd like to check on pretty much a weekly basis, just to get an idea of what other people are playing. See, Reed Duke actually 7-0'd the Swiss portion with Grixis Control. Grixis Control is a pretty popular deck right now. Our opponent's name is Sir Stompy. So if they're playing Sir Stompy, does that mean we can automatically put them on a Stompy deck? Not out of the realm of possibility, but we have a turn 1 Blood Moon. We will keep. We have a turn 1 Blood Moon and or a turn 1 Chalice. So let's see what they're doing. Bloodstained Mire. Bloodstained Mire normally means Reanimator. So if we are assuming that this is Reanimator, I guess we're just going to play the Chalice on turn 1. It resolved and they passed real quick. Underground Sea. This could be Storm. This could be Grixis. Blue-black, could be blue-black Reanimator. Definitely could be a variety of things. Yep, another Reanimator deck. Okay. Oh, that's nice. So they just get to Iona us. Okay. Game 2 we go. That was fast. Alright, so this time we are going to hope that we actually find these ley lines. Ley lines are better against the blue-black version because they have less answers to them. If you just turn 0 a ley line against blue-black, they're really relying on show and tell. Show and tell is normally their backup plan. I do believe Scab Clan Berserker is better against blue-black than it is against black-red, especially because it's a slower version of the deck. So we're going to take out our Fiery Confluences and probably Blood Moons.
Let's see if there's anything else here we want to shave. That might not be true. We might be keeping the blood moons. Yeah, so Chalice of the Void is actually worse against this version of the deck because they're not quite as focused on 1-drops. I mean, they still have a lot, but it's not as bad as the black-red version. Yeah, I think it's just going to be the blood moons. Alright, so we are looking for a ley line. We still do not have a ley line. But this hand does have turn 1 Chalice on the play, as well as a Rabble Master and an Ensnaring Bridge. This hand is good, so we're going to have to keep this hand. Like I said, it's no ley line, but the hand is still very good without it. If they don't have a Force of Will, this Chalice hopefully will do a lot of work. They're on a mulligan. Now they have no Force of Will. Alright, so they have no Force of Will. I'm going to play this Chromox. We'll imprint this Magus. The Rabble Master at least gives us a clock. Let's see what their turn 1 play is here. Bunch of nothing. Oh, that's pretty good. Another Chalice. Alright, so that being said, we can actually lead on the Rabble Master here. Because they're not casting anything for 1 anyway, so we can wait a turn on the Chalice, and we can play the Rabble Master first, so we can get in for some damage. We can start our clock, and then next turn we can play the Chalice. I guess the only way we really get punished here is if they untap and just play a Show and Tell, but that would also require them to have a 2-mana land and a Show and Tell, so I think we're okay. Yeah, so they probably go Swamp Island here. Like I said, the Blood Moons are not great. They're fine, but they're not great. Pack Rat, sure. So they're just going to be all in on this Pack Rat plan. I mean, they still lose to Ensnaring Bridge. They still can't attack through it if it comes down to it. I mean, that might make me want to bring, if we go to game 3, that might make me want to bring back in the Fiery Confluences. I mean, now I don't want to attack with the Rabble Master, unfortunately. So the only thing that's interesting here is if we attack with the Rabble Master, they're going to trade with one of the Pack Rats. Which means they can't block our 3 tokens, which would put them at 7. And that would free us up to play this Ensnaring Bridge. Because this Rabble Master is never realistically getting in there after this turn. They're going to block it every turn, otherwise they're just going to keep chumping our tokens. So I think this is our turn that we want to attack with the Rabble Master. It also prevents them from blocking the tokens here. So for what it's worth, play Trinisphere. And we also get to play the Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, so 3 mana here. What are they doing? Search for Azcanta. Sure. Gets countered by Chalice. Well, that, it's pretty amazing how that works. You play your Ensnaring Bridge, and then you draw your Hazard after that. Hazard here at least gives us another clock. We can start throwing things at them. Okay, so they conceded. Okay. Well, that was a sweet game, too. So, we're still looking for a Leyline against Reanimator. So, we've played a couple games here in a row, and we still have not seen an opening hand Leyline. Okay, so do we want to change anything? Does that make us want to bring in the Abrades and or the Fiery Confluences? So I think the Blood Moon can safely come out. Now, do we want to cut the Magus of the Moons? There's a very real possibility that we cut the Maguses. So if we cut the Maguses, that would allow us to bring in something like 4 Confluence and 2 Abrades. Or maybe 3 Confluence and 2 Abrades. Outside of that, we don't really need to change anything else. So you still have Hazaret, Chandra, and Pia and Kieran as your win conditions. The one thing that I'm not worried, but I'm slightly worried that they get off to a turn 2 pack rat and we just don't have an answer for it. So I think we're going to bring in 3 Confluence and the 2 Abrades. Especially knowing that that's their plan post board. I think that's pretty good. So I think that's what we're going to do here. I mean, a lot of this is kind of hedging on the fact that we know the Blood Moons are not great. This hand is very good. We have the turn 0 Leyline, turn 1 Chalice for 1, and the Ensnaring Bridge. All we're really missing is a win condition, which eventually we'll find the win condition. Okay, so they're playing Chancellor. Chancellor is fine. It doesn't do anything against our Leyline. Lotus Petal, sure. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here is that we're probably going to play this Crow Mox for 0 just to throw it away and get rid of this Chancellor trigger. And that'll allow us to play the Chalice for 1. I mean, we kind of want the Crow Mox for mana, but I don't think it's worth it at this point. We'll eventually find mountains. Let's see if they have the Force of Will. Nope. Which is nice because we also have the answer for the pack rats here too. So even if that's what their plan is the rat here. Sure. Our opponent's got a mixture of sideboard plans here, which is... They're definitely playing a different version of the deck from what you would normally expect. You're missing a land drop. Okay, there goes our mountain. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually probably just going to fire off this Braid on the Arcane Artisan. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to fire off this Braid. We can play the Rabble Master next turn.
don't think we don't want to let our opponent untap with a looter, so it gives them a window to try and find whatever their out is to the Chalice and Snaring Bridge lock. So they're going to Echoing Truth or Leyline of the Void. Sure. Okay, Artisan is going to die. Okay. Alright, so they dealt with one half. They dealt with the Leyline. But they still have Chalice and Ensnaring Bridge to deal with. And they're missing land drops. So I think we're just going to fire off the Trinisphere here. I would like to play the Rabble Master to get our clock started. Actually, that's probably better. We're probably better off just playing Rabble Master here. The last couple turns they haven't played anything, which means their hand is either filled with probably just 1-drops. So I think we're going to lead with the Rabble Master because they weren't casting anything anyway with their mana. Next turn we can play Trinisphere. Our opponent appears to have brought in a lot of cards. So we see Echoing Truths, we've seen Arcane Artisan, and we've seen Pack Rat. It's a lot of cards to bring in for the sideboard. Okay, so they thought Seize the Chalice out of our hand. Now we have to play Trinisphere. Oh, that was a big mistake on my part. I definitely should have attacked first. I'm kind of like autopiloting my way through this turn, and then I should have attacked with the Rabble Master first. So we're definitely missing some damage here, but that's my bad. Okay, now we'll remember to attack first. I'm not even going to play this swamp, or this forest here. Yeah, I can't even know my basic mountain types. We're not going to play this mountain here, there's no reason for it. Alright, our opponent's dead. Alright, we are off to an excellent start here. We are currently 3-0. We had a win against the mirror match round 1. Round 2 was against Black-Red Reanimator, and round 3 was against Blue-Black Reanimator. So this is a nice little 3-0 start with this deck. Let's see what round 4 wants to bring us. I do think it was a very real possibility that our opponent over-sideboarded last game. Just with some of the things that we had seen that they were playing. Alright, come on opponents, we're on a roll here. Let's get another match. Alright, so, like I was mentioning earlier, this was the Legacy Challenge from last weekend. So, you're talking your top 8. You have Reed Duke, who is playing Grixis Control. Death and Taxes, we know Death and Taxes is one of the big decks right now. Eldrazi Post, Blue-Black Death Shadow,
and some combination of these 5/2s. I don't have the exact ones in front of me, but at least gives you an idea of what some people are playing. Grixis, Death and Taxes. This Death Shadow deck has been very popular. It could just be the flavor of the week, but a lot of people have been playing it. Alright, this hand is good. We have the turn 1 Blood Moon, and then we have some follow-up plays beyond that. So this hand is good. Misty Rainforest. So Preordain generally means combo deck. Some of the Grixis control decks are playing Preordain now. So let's just pull up Redukes here while we have it handy. So Reduke is currently on just Ponder and Brainstorm. He is not playing Preordain. So generally Preordain is a combo deck. Not always, but a very high percentage of the time. So that being said, I think we're just gonna slam this turn 1 Magus. We're gonna hope to steal a nice win here off of this Blood Moon. Let's see what this Preordain did. Preordain was top, so that is not good for us. But currently they just have 2 Underground Seas that are currently mountains. Alright, so we get an attack for Magus of the Moon. We're not going to play anything here, unfortunately. We're going to have to wait a turn. So we have 1, 2, next turn, City of Traders. So we'll get to play one of our big guys next turn. There's no reason to play this Ensnaring Bridge. If we're assuming our opponent is a combo deck, the Ensnaring Bridge is not going to do us any good. Unless this just happens to be like blue-black Omnitel, then the bridge will be good, but in that case they still have to cast Show and Tell. Okay, so we get to attack. We're going to lead on the Pia and Kiran Nalar. It gets to put 4 power into play right away. And even if we play the Hazaret's not guaranteed to be able to attack next turn. So I want to take the guaranteed damage and play the Pia here. Now if we rip a land, we'll probably play the Hazaret. But it is definitely in our best interest here to end this game as fast as possible. Pia will do that better than Hazaret. Ooh, they had a Lightning Bolt. Maybe this is Grixis control. Yep, that's exactly what this is. So this is Grixis control with Preordain. Okay, so this is not a combo deck. Okay, that's fair. So they dug their way out of the Blood Moon temporarily. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to attack first. So assuming we attack, they'll probably trade with Pia, and that'll have them taking 2 off of the Thopter, and then we get to play the Magus of the Moon post-combat. Alternatively, we can play the Magus pre-combat. That could deter them from trading with the Pia. So maybe that's better. Alright, that sounds reasonable. We're going to play the Magus first.
we get to attack. I'm kind of surprised that our opponent didn't take that opportunity last turn to fetch with this polluted delta. Because they could have tapped one of the underground seas for the lightning bolt and then fetch with the polluted delta and had a basic in this scenario. Now they're still in a situation. Okay, so they found another lightning bolt. That's fair. Alright, so we're looking to draw land this next turn. We did not, but a Blood Moon is not bad. So we're going to play another Blood Moon. This one cannot be lightning bolted. But they also have their polluted delta up, which could mean something. At the very least, they can fetch out one basic land if this is going to resolve. Respond to the brainstorm. Okay. I mean, I'm not totally sad if they force a will this. It's definitely not the end of the world. Like I said, we have some great high-end cards in Chandra and Hazoret in our hand. Sure. So, like I said, I'm not sad at all if they want to counter that. All it takes is for us to rip one red source, and we are in great shape. Wasteland. Okay. That's going to make it a little bit harder. We definitely need to draw some lands now. The good news is we have time. Our opponent has not done anything super relevant this game. They're not putting any pressure on us. So if we can rattle off a couple lands here, we might be in okay shape. Alright, there's number one. Go, Thopters, go. Okay, they had a Kolaghan's Command, so they got to answer both of our Thopters in one card. Ancient Tomb here would be excellent. That's probably the best card we can ask for. I would also accept a City of Traders. Our opponent has a lot of lands over there. Alright, so that Simian Spirit Guide is... I think we're going to hold on to that. I mean, our option is if we can Simian Spirit Guide out the Magus of the Moon just for a 2/2 attacker. I mean, with our opponent sitting at 8, that's not totally irrelevant. But on the flip side, if we draw any land, getting to play Chandra is a huge game. So I think we're going to hold on to the Simian Spirit Guide for right now. Like I said, we're really hoping to draw land. If we draw land, it's great. Our opponent only has one card in hand, so it's Snapcaster. What are they going to do? K-Command? Sure. Make us discard. Or they could buy back Baleful Strix. I would assume the Baleful Strix is coming back here. Yeah. Discard a card. What do we want to discard? Probably
I'm gonna say maybe this ensnaring bridge. At this point, we have so many cards in our hand that this ensnaring bridge just might never become relevant. Yeah, I think we're going to discard the bridge. It's a card that they can definitely win through with, because they're playing Jace and other planeswalkers that they can win through. Alright. Come on, dealer. 2 mana land. I will accept any land at this point. Not another Chandra. Alright. We're still going to be on the same camp. We're going to hold on to the Simian Spirit Guide. We're looking for a Hail Mary here. We need to find a land, folks. Like, we're in such a good spot if we can draw a land. Because now we can either play Fiery Confluence and wipe their board. Our opponent's wisely staying at 7. So they're not going to fetch unless they have to because they don't want this Fiery Confluence to be lethal. Alright, so they brainstorm, so we're going to presume Delver is flipping next turn. Alright, well, we found our land. Or essentially our land. So what do we want to do with it? How much is our opponent attacking us for? So if we assume Delver is flipping, it's going to be 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that in theory gives us 2 turns. So what's the best way to go around this? If we play Chandra... So if we play Chandra, we can definitely deal them 2. We just plus Chandra and don't cast whatever is on top. That'll put them down to 5. That'll put them in range of the Fiery Confluence. And that could also entice them to attack the Chandra. If we play Fiery Confluence, we can do 2 damage to all of their creatures. And then we can do 4 to them and take them to 3. I think playing Chandra here is probably going to be our best bet. So that means we're going to play the Chrome Mox. Our imprint here is going to be... probably the Magus. Uh-oh. What are they fetching for? Is this a Stifle? This could definitely be a Stifle. Fetch, fetch. What does this mean? They've got 3 mana. Is this a K command with the trigger on the stack? K command would be rude. Very rude. Please don't do that, opponent. Gross. That's so good. So they're destroying an artifact and dealing 2 damage to us. Oh no, they're dealing 2 damage to Snapcaster? What? I wonder if that was a misclick or if they're doing that intentionally. Why would they do 2 damage to Snapcaster? Okay, so that might change things here. So assuming that's the case, we now know Delver, they're drawing a blind card, so they fetched. So let's say Delver does not flip. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 damage that they're attacking us for. If Delver does flip, it's going to be 3, 6, 7. So we have 2, potentially 3 turns here. Alright, so K command is going to resolve. Crow Mox trigger is a no, so we are not going to imprint. Does that make Simian Spirit Guide and the Magus of the Moon any more appealing? Not really, because we're still drawing to a land. So if you go Simian Spirit Guide Magus, they could just kill us with their board and their flyers, so that's not going to help us. So definitely what we need to do here is we need to not play anything and go to our next... Our next turn is still going to be hope we rip a land and just fire a Confluence them for the win. Alright, so that's going to be our line. That's the way we're going to have to win this game. So let's see what Delver does here. Flips with a Ponder. That's a good card for them to flip with. 3, 6, 7. Alright, so we got one draw step. We need to find a land. I mean, we've been saying we need to find a land for the last couple turns now, and unfortunately, last turn we did find it with a Chrome Mox, but they found a Kolaghan's Command to destroy it, so let's see what this Ponder does. We definitely have a chance this game. We've definitely had our chances. They chose not to shuffle. Delver. Okay, we don't care about Delver. Come on, land. Man! God, that is unfortunate. Alright, well, unfortunately our opponent's going to get us this game. We had so many draw steps there, and we just whiffed on multiple in a row. Okay, so our opponent is playing Grixis Delver, I guess? So they're actually playing Grixis Delver. They're not playing Grixis Control. So we do not want Leyline of the Void. We will bring in Volcanic Fallout and Abrades. Those are going to be the 3 cards that we bring in. Sulfur Elemental, Scab Clan, Leyline, Spyglass. Yeah, all of that's just not good enough. Okay. Our opponent got a little lucky to win that game, but that is the way it goes sometimes. So what do we want to cut here? So what is not good against Delver? We want all the Blood Moons. We want all the Blood Moons, all the Magus of the Moons. Rabble Master is not great. Spirit Guide, Bridge, Trinisphere, Pia, Confluence, Chandra, Hazaret. Alright, so these are kind of your slots that you're looking at potentially cutting. The Hazaret is not great, and the Rabble Masters are not great. So I think it's just going to be Hazaret and 2 Rabble Masters. I mean, if you want, you could keep one of the Hazarets and trim one more Rabble Master. Hazaret's just really expensive, especially against the Daze deck. So I think we'll keep 2 Rabble Masters. But then again, Rabble Master is worse against True Name Nemesis and Gurmag Angler. So, alright. I've convinced myself. We're just going to cut 3 Rabbles. Alright, so we are on the play this game. This hand is excellent. We have turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Blood Moon, both of which are very good against the Delver deck. So they need to have a Force of Will, and they need to have it right now if they want to have a chance in this game. They do not have a Force for our Chalice, which is good news for us. Okay, so we are just going to slam this Blood Moon. See if they have a Daze.
Or a Spell Pierce. Well, Spell Pierce does not do it, so they need a Daze. They have the Daze. Okay. That is fair. Chandra. Unfortunately, we only have one red source right now. So we'll play this bridge. Say go. I'm pretty surprised our opponent was playing so many Culligan's commands in their deck. So that means they have at least 2 Culligans in their main deck, which is a lot for a Delver deck. Alright, this is... Alright, so we should be in good shape here unless they found a Force of Will. Chandra hopefully is clear. Yep. Exile top card. Unfortunately, we cannot cast this. Alright, they just got run over that game. Alright, so our opponent looks like they kept a one-lander, probably with a bunch of cantrips, and just didn't get there. Okay, so we're going to game 3. Are we changing anything here? I don't think so. Like you said, Rabble Master still isn't any better. So we're going to run it back. Okay, so this hand is turn 1 Chalice. Our opponent is on the mulligan. We will keep this hand. We have the turn 1 Chalice and we have the Chrome Mox for the imprint. So we're a red source away from turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Chandra. If we can draw a swamp. Man, I keep saying swamp. Definitely mean mountain. You know what I mean? There is our mountain. Alright, so I'm going to play the Chrome Mox here first. This can potentially let us play around days. Alright, so we want the Chandra. And I think we're going to keep the Fallout, which means we probably want to imprint this Confluence. Because the Fallout's uncounterable, so I think that's what we're going to do. This lets us play Chalice of the Void, and we get to play it through days. So they could have a Spell Pierce or a Force of Will, but this at least beats the days. They are going to respond, which means it's probably a Spell Pierce. Nope, they have a Force of Will. Okay. Force of Will pitching days. So if they're pitching days, that makes me feel a little bit better next turn about just slamming the Chandra. But we did draw our land, so actually, we're going to play the Rabble Master first. We have the ability to play around days, so we're going to do that. If we didn't draw that land, there's a good chance I just play the Chandra there. But the fact that you know you can play around the days, you definitely should if you know you have the ability to. Alright, looks like our opponent does not have a Lightning Bolt, which is good news for us. So this one Rabble Master that we kept in might be able to do some damage here. And we have a Blood Moon. Alright. So if that is the case, we are going to go to our attacks first. We can play Chandra post-combat and Blood Moon. Hopefully that'll free up our window. If they want to do something here, that's fine. I mean, this could very easily be a Culligan's command. Maybe not. Alright, so we're going to play Chandra. I would be surprised if they have a counter for this. They must have drawn the force. They must have drawn the Force of Will, because I don't think they would have let the Rabble Master resolve if they had the Force of Will. Okay, that's fine. Our opponent only has one card left in hand, and they clearly don't have an answer for this Rabble Master unless they draw it this turn. Delver's fine. We don't care about that one. Now we get to play Blood Moon. Looks like they have a response. This may be a Snapcaster Mage. Cast the Daze. Okay. I'll pay for it. I mean, it cost me 2 life, but you're going to die faster than I will, I promise. Alright, beautiful. Opponent scoops them up. We are currently 4-0 with this deck. We are currently crushing people. Round 1, we won the mirror match. Round 2 and 3, we beat Reanimator. And round 4, we get to play against Grixis Delver, and we beat Grixis. So, we are off to an excellent start here. We are currently going for our 5-0. Let's stick around and see what our matchup's going to be. Back to this legacy challenge while we're hanging out here. So, something that's interesting is we haven't run against Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes is one of those matchups that it's just super popular online, so I generally expect to play against it at least once in every league. But surprisingly, we haven't run into it. The fact that we ran into Reanimator back-to-back rounds is a little surprising. People do like to play Reanimator. It's not as popular as what it used to be, and I'm kind of surprised by that. People just, I think, are enjoying playing other decks right now, especially that Death Ray Shaman's not around. So, you're looking at the legacy metagame. I mean, Grixis Control kind of took the place of the check pile decks. Blue-Black Death Shadow, I think, is definitely the most popular Delver deck right now. I mean, Grixis Delver is still floating around, but it's not nearly as popular as a Death Shadow deck. Death and Taxes is still very good. Death and Taxes is excellent. It's probably one of the best decks in the format right now. Sneak and Show is probably your combo deck of choice between that and Reanimator. Let's go to our match here and see what we have. So this is Chris Anderson, actually. This is Chris Anderson. If anyone knows him, he's one of the Star City guys. Generally, he plays Grixis Delver. I don't know if that's what he's still playing. I haven't seen one of his lists pop up in a while.
So he is on the play. Yes. So we're on the draw. This hand is not good enough on the draw. We unfortunately cannot keep this. You only have 2 lands, and you can't rely on a turn 3 Blood Moon being good enough, so this is going to have to be a mulligan. This hand is at least a turn 2 Blood Moon, so it's slightly better. We'll keep this one. Chandra, I'm gonna bottom. At this point, we only have 3 lands, and well, maybe we keep Chandra on top. Because if this Blood Moon is good, we might just play back-to-back Blood Moons. We're probably going to play turn 2 and turn 3 Blood Moon. So that being said, I think we are going to keep this Chandra. Chandra is one of your best cards in the deck, so it's hard to put that one on the bottom. We'll draw another land eventually. But Basic Island definitely makes these Blood Moons worse. That is for sure. So we're going to go Island Go, or Mountain Go rather. Hopefully this is not Miracles. That's what it looks like. Island Flooded Strand is probably Miracles. Yep. Alright, we got definitely a poor matchup for our hand. We're going to have to see if this Chandra can do a little bit of work here. We're definitely going to need it to carry some of the load. These Miracles decks or these Stoneblade decks, especially if it's only 2 colors, they usually play a lot of basics, so our Blood Moons are not going to be good here. I mean, the guy clearly went turn 1, turn 2 basic, but even if they didn't do that, they just naturally draw a lot of basics. Some of them play upwards of 8 to 10. Alright, so we're just going to play Chandra here, see what happens. Chandra resolves, which means we are going to exile the top card. Blood Moon we do not want. So we will not cast the Blood Moon. Alright, so that's real bad. So they have the swords and they have the Batter Skull. So now they get to kill our Chandra. So considering this game just started, we're pretty far behind. I don't think we're even going to be able to come back from this at this point. So you're talking your best card. Your best draw is probably going to be Fiery Confluence and hope that they tap out for like a Jace or something. But I don't foresee that happening. Because at this point of the game, he can just leave up 3 mana for forever for this Batter Skull, and we're never going to be able to beat it. I mean, maybe we have a chance if we draw Hazaret, but Hazaret is incredibly weak to swords. What's her name? Well, we drew the Fiery Confluence for what it's worth. Okay, so we can do destroy the Batter Skull. I mean,
the Stoneforge really isn't even threatening. So we can destroy the Batter Skull and do 4 damage to our opponent. That's probably the best thing we can do with this. It's not really worth blowing 2 modes just to kill this Stoneforge. Okay, well at least we did that. That's a small victory. If we peel an ensnaring bridge, we could be in this game. Come on, opponent. The least you can do is pick a nicer swamp for your deck. You at least picked a couple full arts for your island and plains. You can get a full art swamp. Thanks. Baleful Strix is fine. Stoneforge Mystic is fine. Alright, come on guys. Crowd cheer. Let's look for this ensnaring bridge. Nope. Alright, well, we get to play Blood Moon. It's not great, but we get to empty our hand. Like I said, we're still on the out of hopefully drawing this ensnaring bridge. But that's what we're going to be really banking on this game. If we don't draw the bridge, we're not going to be able to stick around. GT, sure. One of the problems with these matchups is even if you play the bridge, you can still very easily lose the game to like a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Rabble Master is not good enough. So they are attacking us for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we're not dead. We get one more draw step. We'll play Rabble Master and attack for our 1. So they're pumping their Baleful Strix. That is fine. Yep, so 5, 6, 7, 8. They're hitting us for 8. Okay. I will block. Not that it's super relevant to begin with, but still looking for that ensnaring bridge. Rabble Master is down. Nope. Okay. You got game 1, my friend. Okay, so how do we feel about this matchup? We are going to bring in 2 Abrades. We are going to bring in 2 Sorceresses Spyglass. And that might be it. So we don't want Leyline, we don't want Scab Clan, and we don't want Sulfur Elemental. Maybe the Volcanic Fallout. Alright, so what is bad here? Blood Moon is bad.
to take out one of the Maguses too. We'll keep 3 Maguses. At the bare minimum, they still attack. Like I said, they might not be great, but you might be able to steal a win with it on the play. You might be able to squeeze in a turn 1 Magus if they're on a hand of fetch lands. So, it does have a little bit of utility, but definitely not a great card. So we are going to be on the play. Sounds good. I mean, we get to go turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Chandra, and then we have Ensnaring Bridge to keep us alive. Odds are, if they have the Force of Will, they're going to blow it on this Chalice. Unless they're sitting on a double Force of Will hand. He's all, well, they're on a mulligan to 6. Okay, keep their 6. Alright, so we just get the lead on Chalice. It does not have the Force of Will, which is good. And Chandra. Excellent. Well, as the mono red Stompy deck, you really can't ask for much more than that. Turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Chandra, turn 1 Blood Moon, turn 2 Chandra, something like that. Those are your best draws you can have. Alright, so he just goes land and go. Another Chalice, huh? So I think what I'm going to do here... Yeah, so actually what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to exile the Simian Spirit Guide. Because if you plus your Chandra, and let's say hypothetically we reveal a 4-drop, if you reveal a 4-drop, you're not going to have the opportunity to exile your Simian Spirit Guide first. So if you want the ability to play a 4-drop off of your Chandra, you need to exile the Spirit Guide first. Now, even if we don't hit anything off of Chandra, we're still going to cast this Chalice for 2. Trinisphere. Would we rather have a Trinisphere than a Chalice of the Void? I don't think so. I think we'll just take the Chalice here. So what's our opponent on? True Name next turn? Odds are they're either on True Name or... I guess they could in theory play a Lingering Souls, because they're playing Esper. The black is probably for Lingering Souls. It might not even be. It might just be for discard spells. True Name, sure. Good thing we have this Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, so we're going to exile top
top card. There's a land. Now we get to play bridge. Okay. Still no force of will, so they just scoop it up to the bridge. Because they know this true name's not going to connect, and we just get the ultimate Chandra next turn. Alright, so we get to go to game 3. And we do not have any changes. We're going to ship it back just like this. Here we go. This is going to be our match. Game 3 for our 5-0, hopefully. Opponent is on a mulligan to 6. Alright, this hand isn't as good as last game, but I think we're going to keep it still. Definitely not as good as what it was last game. We have no chalices, we don't have the Chandra, but we still get to go turn 2 Rabble Master. We have removal and a braid and fiery confluence, and then we have an ensnaring bridge in case we need to try to lock up the game if we start to fall too far behind. Our opponent mulligan to 5, so that is a good start for us. Tundra go. No complaints for me. Alright, so we're just going to lead on Mountain. There's no reason to play the Ancient Tomb first. I guess there's a small possibility that they play Wasteland in their deck. I really don't want to get Wastelanded if we don't have to. Alright, so they're main phasing a Brainstorm here, which means they probably kept the 1-lander. Otherwise, you're not just spewing off a Brainstorm like this for no reason. Yeah, no fetch land. They just play a tap land. Thoughtseize. Okay, so my guess is they take the Rabble Master here unless they have a removal spell. So it's interesting because depending on what they take here, it'll give us a lot of information about their hand. So if you take Rabble Master, you assume there's no removal spell. If you take Bridge, that means they're probably on a True Name Nemesis. And take Fiery Confluence. I guess Fiery Confluence is the card that deals them the most damage. Alright, so we're just going to play Rabble Master. Next turn we can double spell if we need to. This Spyglass, 9 times out of 10, is going to name Jace. Some of these blue-white decks in Legacy are starting to play Teferi, the new 5-mana Teferi. So, I mean, obviously we're going to take a peek at their hand before we get to do anything, but most likely this Spyglass is going to be for Jace. Brainstorm again, now they're looking for the swords. They found another land. So they came out of their mana problems. Or they're in the process of getting out of it. Alright, so Chalice of the Void. Does that change anything? I think we still want to lead on Spyglass here. So we lead on Spyglass, we get to see their hand, we get to see what they're working with. Okay. Okay, so we're going to name Jace.
So we get to shut off the Jace, which is exactly what we were predicting. Alright, so the other two cards in their hand that we have to worry about are True Name and another Baleful Strix. Alright, so we're just going to attack with our goblins. Let's see if they want to trade. I would imagine odds are they do not want to trade. They're just going to take their two. Eventually they're going to have to do something about these goblins, because they're just going to keep eating them away. So I think we're just going to play this Chalice for one. It's going to shut off all their cantrips. It's going to shut them off from drawing Swords to Plowshares. So I think Chalice for one is going to be good enough. Comes a True Name, sure. I mean, True Name gets to eat a goblin, but outside of that, we don't really care at this point. I mean, it stops us from attacking with Rabblemaster for what it's worth, but if they're using True Name to block a goblin, I am totally okay with that. Yep, that's good. We're going to play the bridge here. We have the luxury, we have the mana to do it this turn. It's not hindering us from attacking at all, so this is definitely a free turn to get the bridge into play. Oops. Pardon this. This is our constant reminder that comes up that we should be activating our windows, but apparently when we purchased our computer, they never activated Windows. So that always manages to come up when we're recording, so I do apologize for that. Okay, so our opponent found their land. So we know Jace, Baleful Strix, and one unknown. Here comes the Baleful Strix. Stoneforge Mystic. Let's see what they would like to get. Batterskull. Okay. So at this point, we would really like to save this Abrade for the Batterskull. That would be ideal scenario. But they have also successfully stopped us from attacking. So now they get to block both of our goblins for free. So we are in a position where we definitely need to find like a Chandra here. We're going to hold on to this Abrade. This Abrade is going to have to be saved for the Batterskull. And unfortunately, we do not get to do anything here. So we're just going to play a land and say go. They get to eat our 2 tokens. So if our opponent misses a land drop here, they can't really afford to put Batterskull into play because they know we have the Abrade. They've seen the Abrade already. So they need to have 3 mana up when they have the Batterskull in play so to make sure they can bounce it. Okay, they did find it. So for our opponent being on a mulligan to 5, they've actually drawn really well out of this. Okay, so they get to play a Jace. Now they have Jace in play for in case they find an answer for this Spyglass. Which there could be something like a Disenchant. So they're probably drawing towards something like a Disenchant to get out from under the Spyglass. Rabblemaster. That one is mildly interesting. So does that change anything? So if we abrade the Stoneforge, that'll allow us to attack with both of our Rabblemasters and 2 tokens. But it also forces Rabblemaster to attack, so they can trade the Rabblemaster for the True Name. So I don't think that's a trade we want to make at this point. But we do also want to play a card, so that way this True Name can't start attacking us. So maybe we do just play the Rabblemaster. Or we can play a Naked Chrome Mox. The Naked Chrome Mox might be fine too. We're never going to need the extra mana. We already have our 2 red sources, and we're never going to need more than 2 red sources in a game. Alright, we'll do that. We're just going to play the Naked Chrome Mox. I'm not really interested in the imprint. This Rabblemaster could... There could be a window at some point where this Rabblemaster does become relevant. I mean, it's definitely unlikely, but we'll see what we draw next turn. There might be a spot where we just play it just to get it out of our hand for this bridge. If we have to, we can always abrade this Baleful Strix. So they are playing Wasteland. They might not even fire off this Wasteland, because if they know if we're playing a Naked Chrome Mox that we really don't need the mana. Wow, they drew the Disenchant. That's amazing. There's a very real possibility that we lose here now. Because that Disenchant now allows them to win. They can just Fate Seal us out of the game with Jace. And it allows them to beat the bridge. So now we went from being at least at board parity to now we're very far behind, in my opinion. This Chalice is not doing us any favors. I don't even want to play this Chalice for 2. I mean, I know last game we played the Chalice for 2. At this point, I don't even want to play it because now we need to try to find our... We need to find our other Spyglass to have an answer for this Jace. Yeah, so I don't even want to play this Chalice. This is tough. I mean, we could play Chalice for 3. Chalice for 3 is a hard way to do it, though. God, yeah, we're in a lot of trouble now.
We're just gonna play Chalice for 0. Like I said, we can't afford to play it for 2. I really don't want to play this Rabble Master either, because all it's going to do is suicide our other Rabble Master into this True Name. I get the Snapcaster Disenchant. Yeah. Probably disenchant the Ensnaring Bridge. Although it could be the Chalice for 1. Yep, there goes the bridge. This game's slipping away. Alright, so we're going to trade this Rabble Master here. Doesn't feel great, but we're going to do it. Magus of the Moon. So what's our opponent hitting us for? 3, 4. Now they're going to have the Batter Skull to attack with the Batter Skull. So we're taking a lot of damage off of these Ancient Tombs. So like I don't even want to tap these Ancient Tombs. So I think we're just going to pass here. Hold up a Braid. But it's not going to do anything. I think we're just dead. Yeah, because they hit us for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Alright, good games, opponent. Well, that was an unfortunate end, but they were definitely close matches. I mean, can't complain too much. We had a nice showing with the deck. We went 4-1. We beat the mirror match. We beat 2 Reanimator players. We beat Grixis Delver, and then we lost to Esper Stoneblade in the last round. So it was definitely a good overall showing for the match. I do want to say thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please give us a like. Please give our channel a subscribe. Our subscriptions are free. We're just working on getting our channel started here. And if you like modern and legacy content, there is going to be plenty of that. Continue going forward. If there's any decks you would like to see, please let me know. I do have multiple decks here online, or I can either get the cards or build the deck if I do not have them. But I do want to say thank you very much. I appreciate it for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Alright, thanks. Bye.